Bot Rix has correctly joined the channel.
Apparently, the exhibitor paid a large sum to rent out the hotel and surrounding building.
Yeah, what if guests come early? They won't have anywhere to stay. Also, renting out this big of a hotel, how are they gonna make that more back?
It's been so long, I almost didn't recognize you, Edgar.
Well, you and your brother haven't changed a bit.
Oh, yeah, all this catching up is nice and all, but let's get down to business. We need to talk about Kyria. Is he...
Hold on, we have guests.
It's nice to see you again, Master.
Emily? Is that you? Oh, it's been years. Look at you. You're all grown up. I've heard you've become quite the famous perfumer in Fontaine. It would seem the student has surpassed the master.
Oh, well, it's all thanks to your mentorship.
Ah, hardly. I taught you the basics. Hearing you call me master, well, I'm not sure I'm deserving of that title. I've taught many students here in Sumeru over the years, but And who are these two? I don't recall you mentioning them in your letter.
Ah, they're my new friends, the Traveler and Paimon.
Emily's friends. Well then, the pleasure is all mine.
And these two gentlemen? Are they friends of yours, Master?
Of course! We're perfume merchants from Fontaine. I'm Oud, and this here is my younger brother, Blaze. Edgar and the two of us are old friends. Isn't that right, gentlemen?
Yes.
Merchant brothers?
You must be here to look for the August flower, then.
Huh?
Well, what respectable perfume merchant hasn't heard of Auguste? Anyone in the business would be interested in the rumors.
I'm guessing you're here for the same reason, Emily. We were just about to get into it, so you three might as well join in. I commissioned a few eremites to do some scouting for me. They searched all over Sumeru, but there were no sightings of the August flower. That being said, there are people in Port Ormos who claim to have smelled a unique fragrance on the streets. Definitely floral, but still distinct. Some of them were merchants who lived in Fontaine 20 years. A one-of-a-kind, divine, and...
Maybe someone around here just happens to...
No, I don't think so. I doubt that's the case. Even if someone had a bottle that was never opened, Auguste is even more prone to that. Although...
Impossible! If Auguste were that easy to replicate, it would never have sold for such a high price all those years ago. The Auguste flower is back. It has to be.
Technically speaking, the scent wouldn't...
Well, let's table that question for now. Edgar, did any of those people mention where the scent was coming from?
No. By the time they realized they had smelled something, the scent was already gone. If I hadn't asked about it, they probably wouldn't have given the experience a second thought. Compared to things we see and hear, smells can be...
It almost sounds like someone wearing the Auguste
Wait, are you saying...
Just thinking out loud. Don't pay me any mind.
We don't have much to go off of right now, but we can't rule out that possibility. I'll send some more people to investigate. You all traveled so far to be here. Why don't you rest in the hotel for a bit? Oud, Blaze, this is the key to your room.
Ooh, you've got the keys to the rooms? Do we get free lodging too?
My apologies. All the rooms in the hotel are accounted for, I'm afraid. I managed to tidy up one of the rooms for these two at the last minute. But by the time Emily wrote to me, there was to stay.
Oh, and we just showed up out of the blue. Guess that means there's definitely...
Could have been more considerate. Here I am with an entire hotel at my disposal and no place to offer you to stay, even after you made the trip all the way to Sumeru.
Don't worry, Master. I can sleep on the boat tonight. Or I could even camp in the wild. It would give me the opportunity to collect some plant specimens. Even better. Although, would it be possible for me to leave some of my luggage here? It would be rather cumbersome to take it camping. It shouldn't take up too much space.
Well, about that.
Of course, no trouble at all. My brother and I will keep an eye on them for you, as long as you don't mind, mademoiselle.
All right, then. Ood, why don't you take Emily inside and find a suitable place for her luggage? I'll prepare some refreshments and join you in a bit.
Whoa, the smell of flowers is so strong. Didn't Edgar say he tidied up around here? There's still so many flowers. Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers. Looks like this exhibition is gonna be huge.
No, that's a florist. We work closely with the...
Oh, guess there's just too much to store for the exhibition then.
Oh, this room seems to be a connected suite, and my brother will be staying on the other side of the suite. Blaze, while you're out, why don't you bring our luggage over as well? Blaze!
Yes, of course.
All right, then. Where can we find your luggage, mademoiselle?
It's still at the port. In addition to some daily necessities, there's also a case of amber wine that I brought back from Fontaine. Could I trouble you to bring that back as well? It would...
How generous. I should thank you on my brother's behalf.
Is that so? Mr. Ood, Mr. Blaze, thanks for...
Hey! What are you doing?
That's Master's voice.
Edgar!
Master!
Hey, Edgar! Are you all right?
Who did this?
Kyria. August.
Kyria.
Hey, Edgar? Edgar!
No, don't shake him. He's injured. Just leave him to me. You two can... Oh, thank you.
I checked. It doesn't look like anyone passed through here.
Oh, but that's impossible. Oh, the culprit, I mean. It's not like the culprit could have just...
That strange smell around here. Is it coming from this bottle? Oh, really? You think so? Do you think whoever did this was hiding in the flowers before they attacked Edgar? Well, we looked all over, but the only clue we found was that bottle.
The most important thing we can do now is focus our efforts on treating Master. Can you help me move him inside?
So how's he doing?
When I administered emergency treatment, I discovered a residue in his nose and mouth. He's still unconscious and inducing... Ah, yes, the scent. But first, I do believe there are Mr. Sylvain, Mr. Lucian.
Wait, you know...
Hey! Were you talking to us, mademoiselle?
Before arriving in Sumeru, I asked a friend from the Special Patrol to look into the creators of Auguste. There were 4 people in total. The perfumer, Edgar, the one thrust into the limelight, and 3 others. A researcher from Sumeru responsible for cultivating the Auguste flower. The 2 brothers, in the end, they were sent to the fortress of Merapi.
And what does that have to do with us? Their account...
Every time your brother called you Blaze, it took you several seconds to respond. But when I called you Lucian just now, the name registered immediately.
Ah, Miss Emily, out of respect for your position as a famous perfumer in Fontaine, you have a bright future ahead.
You claim...
What?
Amber wine is a... Unless, until recently, they were living somewhere completely...
Emily, you little...
Don't misunderstand, Mr. Sylvain. I don't bring... But Master's life is in danger. We need to learn whatever... If Master's attack had something to do with Auguste, So I'd like to trouble...
Fine.
Sylvain!
Lucian, if this will help us find Kyria, then it will be all worth it. Besides, we've already told most of the stuff to the Maison Orderly anyway. You were right, Miss Emily. There were 4 of us at the beginning. Myself, Lucian, Edgar, and a researcher from Sumeru in charge of flower cultivation. Sometime down the...
Sounds like he's still upset about that. Wait, then how did Edgar end up in Sumeru?
Master was convicted as an accomplice, so he only had to serve a few years. He decided to move to Sumeru so that he could put those events behind him. Still, Master was... That's how I met him. But we can talk about that some other time. I want to hear more about this researcher, Vijava.
Like us, Vijava was also... But before the Phantom showed up at her door, she set all the flower beds out.
But destroying all the...
It didn't matter at that point.
What?
Sounds like you did an investigation of your own. Why even ask us if you knew all of this all...
The name wasn't mentioned in any...
Kyria was Vijava's younger brother. He was just a clueless kid back then. Somewhere in his teens, Vijava kept him close. After our operation was compromised, he disappeared. There were no signs of him until recently, when people started saying the Auguste flower had reappeared in Sumeru.
So, you think Kyria took something with him back then? Something that allowed him to...
Vijava doted on the... If she left something...
And judging by the liquid in that bottle, the Auguste flower wasn't the only thing he reproduced. He managed to replicate...
So the liquid Edgar was forced to ingest really was Auguste.
Poison? No. Of course not. No perfume is meant to be ingested. Even small amounts can be dangerous, let alone ingest. If Auguste could be considered a poison, we wouldn't have even sold half a... He probably thought we had something to do with his sister's death. But to tell you, we're not looking for Kyria because we have it out for him. We just wanted to... We only went to prison as long as we...
So that's why you never met...
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, that's all we know.
Well, at least we're able to...
Well, glad to hear it. Lucian, let's head back to the room and rest a bit. With everything that...
Yes, of course.
You think so too? But based on Sylvain's tone of voice...
The way you exposed them like that? Oh, right! Earlier you said you were only sort of a doctor, and that your patients were...
Oh yes, that's because most of the patients I encounter...
So you're,
Close. I'm actually a forensic... In fact, with just a small alteration to the form... Basically, there are 2 sides to... I've learned a lot in my line of work, and I've witnessed a lot of death. But this time, we may still save the patient. Actually, Traveler, could I trouble you to report back to Tainari and the officers at Port Ormos? We should update them on the situation. I'll stay here and continue to look after Master.
Whoa, why the rush? Did something happen?
What? Edgar was attacked? He's the most famous perfumer in the region. Someone who's helped...
Sheriff, have you received any reports of a suspicious individual fleeing through the bazaar?
No, but I'll start gathering my forces. We won't let him get away.
What about you, Tainari? Do you...
I'm sure the sheriff can handle things over at the scene.
But she said she's not a...
Then she was far too modest. She may not be a doctor by trade, but not to mention the fact... As for me, I'll head...
Oh, that's right!
From Emily's letter, certainly. I didn't have time to look into it earlier, but now it seems like Vijava's passed. I have friends in Sumer. I'll leave you and Emily to watch over things.
Well, it's been a day. But things weren't looking good with Emily's master yesterday. We should check on things at the hotel first.
No longer in critical my chemical analysis of a goose. I was able...
Elemental energy?
Hard to say. I had to use one unless you were abnormal. As for Weather Master...
Oh, that reminds me. Oh, I thought he might have stopped by to see... excuse me? Is Miss Emily here? Oh, perfect! Familiar faces! Traveler, Paimon,
Kale. Ah, of course. Tainari's apprentice. He's mentioned you. And please, no need for...
Oh, Did Tainari send you here, Colin?
Yep. Master and the others went through decades worth of records last night and still haven't had a chance to rest. Anyway, based on what they've reviewed so far, Master considered that possibility as well. But the name wasn't the only dead end. Master tried.
How is that possible?
It's starting to.
Hey! Lucian!
It's Sylvain! Wait, you don't think Kirio came back, do you?
That seems impossible. If someone came in or out of the hotel. It's locked? There's no one here.
Lucian! Lucian!
That's Sylvain's voice! Hurry, let's check next door!
Lucian! Lucian! Come on! Emily, Emily! My brother, he's gonna be okay, right?
I'm sorry, Mr. Sylvain. But we were.
No, no, that's not.
Traveler, Kale, Mr. Sylvain has gone through a huge shock. He needs some space to calm down. Could one of you take him next door? It's not good for him to look at his brother's body like this.
Of course. Leave it to me.
Thank you both. Mr. Sylvain, let's get you up. We'll take things from here. Just focus on getting some rest. Here, this way.
Poor guy. He's like a chef. He may have made some bad decisions in life, but...
Good person or bad, the death of a loved one is all the moments he shared with his...
If Kirio really was behind...
Lucian can no longer... Traveler, I've got things covered.
Who would have thought? Yesterday's case is still up in the air, and now this happens. Miss Emily, I heard you're an experienced forensic doctor. Have you been able to...
Oh, I'm not actually a forensic doctor. I just happen to have some relevant knowledge. I did take a look, though. Judging by the temperature and rigidity of the body, it appears the time of death was sometime last night. I'd have to...
Then, would you mind helping us investigate? Before he left, Tainari said we could trust your judge.
Of course, I appreciate your trust.
We'll help too. We don't know much about...
To tell you the truth,
And the windows are shut tight too. Seems like the only way to get in would have been through Sylvain's room. Well, looks like we've investigated as much as we can. Let's go report back to Emily and Shiam. Here, it'd be something like this.
but entering through the room next door without alerting Sylvain...
No, his reaction to the loss of his brother's...
Then what could have happened last night? I know...
I agree. Also, I've made some...
Everything you and your brother did since yesterday afternoon. Did you see...
After Kyria attacked Edgar, my brother and I were incredibly careful. We returned to our rooms and decided to lock all the doors leading to the hallway. The only door we kept unlocked was the one connecting our rooms. That way, if we heard any commotion coming from the other room, but I didn't hear any sort of commotion last night. Not a single noise. I woke up this morning, opened the door, and Lucian was...
So, no movement from the room next door. No forced entry via Sylvain's room. No signs of a struggle at the scene. And no external injury on Lucian's body. What kind of cause of death are we dealing with here?
I did notice a few things about the body. Lucian's pupils were dilated, and his skin was flushed. Very similar to Master's symptoms after the... There weren't any traces of liquid in his mouth or nose, so it's unlikely he...
A goose? No, that's not possible. Inhaling a goose won't kill you. And anyway, no. Emily, you ran your tests, didn't you?
No, I didn't find any
See? A goose.
That may be true for most people.
Master!
Edgar? You're up and about already?
Thanks to Emily, I'm out of the woods for now. Sylvain, no matter how hard you may try to hide...
Edgar!
Even if we could keep it a secret, no. He would never give up. Not... That's Vijava's real... Yelena wasn't a scholar from Sumeru. She...
A Fatus?
The Fatui. Well, that means the elemental energy present in Auguste was...
Ah, so you've already detected it. Well, Sylvain, looks like there's truly no reason to hide things now.
Oh.
The Auguste flower was created with the mutative and distorting power of a delusion.
A delusion?
The Fatui, delusions... I never would have thought a...
Born of a delusion, Auguste contained distorted elemental...
That's enough, Edgar. At first, Yelena wanted to keep refining the perfume. It didn't have any effect on ordinary...
So you decided poisoning people?
Listen, unless you were particularly sensitive...
It may be true there are no records of Auguste, but even if no one was acutely poisoned, willfully bringing a... That explains why you were so intent on the Fatui, delusions, Auguste.
Ha! All these years, Auguste was...
So there's bad blood between you.
What about Yelena's...
I'll admit, we thought about it at one point. We took care to disguise the product, but... If the Mara Chaussee Phantom decided to look into the flower beds, it would have been... Before we could even put our plan in motion, Yelena beat us to it. She burned all her flower beds and threw herself into the fire as well.
But if her goal was to destroy evidence, there would have been no reason to do that to herself. Yeah, she could have just burned the flower bed.
I thought about everything she did. It was for her brother, Kyria. One of the reasons they defected from... After arriving in Fontaine, Yelena continued using the delusion to...
So she couldn't flee with her brother because she was afraid of holding him...
If her true identity... The Auguste So, in the end...
So the wealth you earned...
Most likely. That's why Lucy...
I don't think he knew his sister, Yelena.
Then all we'll need to do is tell Kyria... I'm not so sure. Even if you knew the truth, it's hard to pull yourself out of that kind of hatred. Especially when you've been living...
Very true. Even if Yelena's death was her own choice.
Edgar!
Think about it, Sylvain. If we hadn't been so blinded by greed, so insistent on... If we hadn't invited the Mara Chaussee Phantom to our doorstep...
She knew her limits. She knew her day. We were just trying to earn a bit of moral. And what Lucian's...
3 people from Fontaine, 1 from Snezhnaya. Well, we can only wait until the Academia sends someone to deal with it. I'm guessing we'll have to contact... With the exhibition, we don't even have space in Port Ormos to detain anyone. Such a...
The hotel could suffice. You could station a few officers to keep an eye on Sylvain and myself. Although with Sylvain's mental state and my physical one...
Mr. Edgar, are you saying...
If Sylvain is to stand trial, then I'd just like... As for Sylvain, I'm sure... Would you be willing to grant that request, Sheriff?
Well, all right. The man we grew to know in Sumeru proved himself to be a good person.
You have my thanks, Sheriff.
Happened tonight? Oh, you mean the possibility that Kiria might try to finish what he started?
Yeah, all we know is that he uses a goose to poison people, but we still have no idea how to catch him in the act. If he targets Sylvain or Edgar again, we might not be able to stop him.
That may be true, but what if we can take advantage of... If we take advantage...
Master, no. That's too dangerous.
So, that's your plan. If Kiria learns we're being taken... In other words, you want to use a...
Capture?
Afraid? I'm spending the rest... As for the danger...
I'll admit, it could work. Then I'll station some of my men around the hotel.
I still have some reservation.
I'll also keep one.
Although, I think if Kiria noticed another...
You mean if he doesn't see a way...
If that were to happen...
That's why everyone else needs to keep to the shadows.
You're still recovering. You need to rest.
This old pack of bones doesn't bounce back like it used to. I suppose...
All right, we can figure out a plan to keep watch later. Right now, I say we split up, start spreading...
Have you heard? Mr. Edgar's been detained. He's being taken away tomorrow.
What? He's the one who helped craft all the fragrances for our shop.
He taught my child how to make perfume. How could this happen?
He hasn't been convicted yet. Let's just wait and see what the court has to say.
Oh, everyone on the street is talking about the rumors. No matter where Kiria is hiding, he must have heard them by now. Let's head back to the hotel and take a break. Sheriff Xian wants to talk to you in the trap.
Thank you, Kale. But first, here. I prepared a kind of herbal tea that helps calm the spirit. Why don't you have some?
Oh, that's very kind of...
Oh, it's not good. You seem very...
Oh, Hey, Emily, Kale. Oh, are we interrupting? No, not at all. This will be easier to talk through with you. I've just been thinking. If Kiria has... There was just a single... When I accompanied maybe Kiria did that on purpose. Maybe he wanted Sylvain to experience the pain of losing a loved one before he completed his ultimate revenge. So did he attack Edgar as a warning then? To scare Sylvain and Lucien?
Based on what we've heard of
losing his sister all those years ago. What has been going... Whenever I get to thinking like that, I'm sorry.
There's nothing wrong with the way you're... In all my years, some of them even try to surround yourself. So while you do Sylvain and Luke answering those questions, I've witnessed all. But generally speaking...
Once you're consumed...
You're right, but that also... I understand...
Huh.
Emily, Traveler. Huh? Edgar, you're here too?
Oh, it's you two! Didn't you head back to your room to rest, Edgar? Is it really okay for you to be out?
Besides, I don't have much time left in Sumeru. So I'd like to take care of my plants while I still can.
We could do that for you, Master.
No need. I would imagine Sheriff Sham is here for a more important...
The Night Watch! You mentioned earlier that we still need to confirm our plans.
That's right. I've stationed some of my men around the surrounding area, but we still don't have anyone... Exactly. After some discussion, and Emily's expertise is sure to come in handy in a pinch.
Sounds perfectly reasonable. I'll be glad to have your help tonight, Traveler.
Huh. Not a peep. Has Kiria given up on his revenge? Guess we'll have... Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Perhaps Kiria's true motive was simply forcing Sylvain to confess his crimes. No, that can't be right. If all he wanted was for Sylvain to be convicted for his true crimes, he could have tipped off the Marechaussee Phantom years ago. There must be something we're missing.
Maybe we just need to calm down a little. How about some tea? That herbal blend from earlier was... You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then, look, oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Flowers, glaze lilies, and... Oh no! Sylvain's room! Quick!
Wait, what?
Hey, did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
It was the older of the merchant brothers.
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain. Poor guy was...
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant named Lucien, and now...
Listen up, everyone. This is an active crime scene. Please, no loitering.
It's been 3 days and they haven't even caught a glimpse of the guy.
Do you think it could be the work of an evil spirit? I mean, how do you get away with something like that with so many...
Keep it moving, everyone. No loitering.
I suppose.
You don't know that. Kiria already attacked...
You were the only...
Even if I wasn't there.
Is that so? I have... But Kiria, it really meant...
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kiria himself, once we finally catch him.
Well, I hope it... Emily, there's something... But so many flowers were transported here for the show. Some of them thousands of miles away from their homeland. I can't let them wither away with no... Whether Kiria gets to me first. I know it's a lot to...
Of course.
Really, Oh, now
Sheriff Shamst.
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting.
I'm sorry, Master.
Another all-nighter. Emily still isn't back. I hope she didn't run into any trouble. Yeah, that's true.
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. The crowd is gone. After listening to Emily's plan, to be honest, I'm still not sure how the
key clue was right in front of us the entire time! Let's go! We'll show you where the culprit hid a goose. This is it!
The glazed lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before. It's a flower from Liyue, right?
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emily, you're back!
Exactly as expected.
A flower that only blooms at night. Ah.
Exactly. Although that's why Kyria chose the
If poured into the flower pot, the liquid would seep into the... If applied to the outside... There's a sticky substance on the edge of the flower. If you stick the petals together with slime...
That's right! He applied a diluted form of slime condensate to the petals to stick them together and enclosed a sample of agouste in the center. That way, the agouste would remain trapped inside during the daytime, unable to see. However, the diluted slime condensate and Kyria could by the next morning, the sample...
Wait a second. You're telling... And how did Edgar even...
That's because agouste is just as dangerous now.
That can't be right.
I wouldn't use the word allergic necessarily. It's more... You can think of it this way. It's not that Sylvain...
In Fontaine, I experienced how drinking primordial seawater made me more attuned to the element of hydro. But that substance would be all kinds of essential oils The incense I smelled earlier... In Sumeru, scholars...
Alchemically produced essential oil...
That stuff gave us a lot of trouble when we first... yes.
In Sumeru, it's not uncommon to use...
Flowers were pretty important.
Actually, it's not a...
No wonder he was willing to pay a small fortune to rent out the hotel. He probably used the mora Yelena left him, don't you think? That money was supposed to set him free. But in the end, it was just a tool.
There's a saying among forensic, but up until this point, but because he's been disguised as someone else this entire time.
Creating such an intricate mechanism, it all points to... The mora spent to rent out, it all points to one... Kyria and Edgar are one and the same.
But Kyria was only in his teens back then. He wouldn't even be 40 years old by now. Edgar's lived here for so many...
Bad news, Sheriff! Mr. Edgar was attacked!
What?
A dark shadow-like figure just ran out of his room, but before we could even react, the figure up and disappeared like some sort of ghost or something. Do you think Kyria kidnapped him?
I need you to think very carefully.
I mean, Mr. Edgar was so frail. I don't see how he could have moved that fast.
It would seem Master decided to tap into an ill-advised source of...
What? But that's so...
But why? What?
No. If his aim was to target everyone who...
If he left Sylvain...
Then...
The shadow-like figure ran in the direction of the elevator, and my partner immediately chased after them.
We should hurry before they're forced to confront each other.
Where in the world did he go? Let's ask the merchants nearby.
A ghost! It's a ghost!
It's all right. Please, calm down and take a deep breath. Can you tell us what you saw?
I saw a black shadow. How could...
This is terrifying.
No! Don't come any closer! No! Don't come any closer!
It's all right. I can detect a faint... It's this way. Please, follow me. The scent is getting stronger. This must be the place.
Oh! O's! Are you all right? Were you attacked?
No, I'm all right. I was just chasing after that figure, and then, all of a sudden, I didn't feel so hot.
Let me take a look.
The air definitely feels heavy. It smells nice, but for some reason, it's hard to breathe. This feeling, I've encountered it before.
Everything looks all right. It was probably just the stress of the chase, combined with the impact of the environment. A bit of rest would do you some good.
I can't rest. Mr. Edgar is still in there. He's a good man.
O's, you need to calm down and listen to me.
But how is that possible? Mr. Edgar is 70-something.
That's precisely why he had to... Kyria used a delusion to...
No.
And what if the impersonation started before he ever set foot in Sumeru? I've yet to confirm it, but I suspect Kyria killed the real Edgar in Fontaine not long after his release from prison. While Edgar was incarcerated, Kyria started making preparations to replace him, including forcefully aging his body, studying perfumery, and planning the real Edgar's demise. The new Edgar then decided to relocate to Sumeru, seemingly out of an innocuous design, and Sumeru fit the bill to a T. As the years went by, he removed his disguise little by little.
That explains why Sylvain said he aged himself decades beyond his years just so he could accomplish his revenge. Is that even worth it?
I need to find Mr. Edgar. He's not that kind of person.
What you really need...
No,
Wait! This environment is likely being influenced by the delusion. Any discomfort, no matter... I know how to relieve your symptoms, Mr. Ooze. I'm sure Kyria...
Kale's right. The Traveler and I will take things from here. This leads me to believe those blessed with a vision... Actually, now that I hate to trouble you, but...
Hear that? We're heading out. There's work to be done. Ooze, head back to Port Ormos and start gathering reinforcements.
Got it.
Traveler, Emily, Paimon, for someone whose only purpose in life...
Don't worry. This isn't the... We're not going to let a... Monsters? Perhaps they were attracted here by the increased level of elemental energy.
This will be frozen in time.
Reconstitute! I've never seen these seeds before. They must also have been created with the power of a delusion. It seems to be avoiding us, and there's no other way forward. Perhaps we could try luring it to the edge of the cliff.
Whoa, look at all the Auguste flowers! There are so many of them. Paimon can't believe a single...
I fear that statement is truer than you know, Paimon. Use...
What? He only needed a...
Perhaps hatred wasn't not long ago. He told me he didn't want all the flowers, but Kyria betrayed Snezhnaya, abandoned Fontaine, and lived his entire life for someone with nowhere to call home. Perhaps Extract! Fresh and floral!
Take this! Dodge this!
Neutralize! This'll brighten up the place! A plant that destroys seeds. Huh, quite the ecological marvel. Let's head back to the place where the seeds first appeared.
Yoo-hoo! Reconstitute!
The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end. The scent of flowers is getting stronger.
Did they catch up that fast? No. My strength is just waning. But it doesn't matter. This is far enough.
This is a garden of August flowers. But it's not mine. It's the one that was set on fire all those years ago. Yelena? Yelena! You tried to hide it from me, but the reason why you continued to use the delusion, the reason why you set your garden on fire, it was all but I shouldn't have listened to you that day. I shouldn't have taken the Mora and ran. But by the time I realized something wasn't right, there was nothing left. I know I'm almost 20 years too late. I should have died with you that day. Yelena? Yelena! No! Don't leave me! Yelena!
I'm alive. No.
That was an illusion.
No. The amount of August I drank. A fake.
We started making them to create a perfect accord. The accord is the basis of perfume making,
the product in its most primitive form. Ambergris mixed with cedarwood, rounded out with a base note of agarwood.
This is the scent of leather?
Exactly. We're unable to extract essential oils from leather, but by combining other raw materials, we can recreate its essence. That is the purpose of an accord.
Does that mean mean you can recreate any scent in the whole world?
I'm afraid not. Certain fragrances in this world are simply one of a kind. That quality is what draws people in and fuels their obsessions.
If I wear a goose to the ball, I'll also be one of a kind. Our competitor already got their hands on it.
It doesn't matter how much it costs. I have to buy something better.
This fragrance will be one of a kind, no more. Myths can be deconstructed. Miracles can be recreated. All it takes is skill.